Good evening, welcome to this week's edition of CopaLoadofRacing, where we'll take a look at all the weekend action. Also have a little review back on what's happened over the past week, particularly at Punchestown, where the festival there finishes or comes to a climax tomorrow. The big Irish meeting, and also the national hunt season overall comes to its end tomorrow afternoon at Sandown. Now this week we've also seen racing at Perth, their 3-day festival. An opening 3-day festival finished today. Some good racing there, and the crowds always were pretty healthy for their 3-day meeting. Some really good pictures also provided by Racing UK, I have to say, during the action. And so they'll be glad that the weather proved pretty kind overall. A few sharp showers around, I'm sure, but it was a good start to their summer jumps programme, and Perth, I'm sure, will have another good season ahead of them. We'll also, as I say, Punchestown, the biggest thing to come out of Punchestown, I suppose, this week was, of course, the issue with album photo, the Paul Townend incident where he took out Finney's Oscar in that bizarre incident at the last fence. There was a lot of talk about it on social media this week. A few conspiracy theories flying around, which I find hard to believe. It does though still, Paul Townend's reason was that he heard a shout to go round the fence. There was clearly no signal in front of him for him to go round the fence, but it's been a moment of madness. And it caused a real big shock. Obviously the storyteller went on to win for Davy Russell and Gordon Elliott, but it was a big talking point, as you can imagine. There, one of the performances of the week so far certainly was Faugheen, winning that stairs hurdle. Looked absolutely back to his best, and it looks like that step up in trip has done the trick for Faugheen, and he's going to be a real interesting player next year at that trip. So fingers crossed that that's going to make the staying division even that more exciting. Today seen another big shock. Sam Crow, who stepped up from novice company, was well fancied to win the champion hurdle race at Punchestown, but he fell along with Mellon, who chased home Bouvidere, of course, at Cheltenham in the champion hurdle, and both of them fell independently, and that left Super Sunday to go on and win there, beating Wicklow Brave into second. So that was a big win there for Jessica Harrington, of course, but all the focus there was, of course, on Willie Mullins, who's claimed that Irish Trainers Championship. It was close thing going into the first couple of days, but Thursday certainly proved to be a big day for Willie Mullins, with the winners that he got there. Also worth noting that 16 to 1 shot today in that novice hurdle race, another big shock because we had a couple of fallers there as well, but Dortmund Park, the horse I spoke up as an anti-post tip for Cheltenham, lo and behold he goes in at Punchestown today at 16 to 1, Dortmund Park. Jack Kennedy said the better ground certainly made a difference for him, and he was left in front. It has to be said, Get a Bird were hampered, and the well fancied horses, with some of the drama that took place in that race as well, something that seemed to be a big thing this week at Punchestown, but he's went on and won pretty comfortably in the end, so that was one positive, I suppose, for Gordon Elliott over the past couple of days for him. So that's Punchestown just coming to an end tomorrow, of course. Last week we had, of course, the Ayr Scottish National, the worst race for me ever, I have to say. I've never watched a Scottish National with, half the race still to complete, and I'm sitting there thinking none of my horses are, the young master went early on. Fagan never looked like it was going to cause any problems. At first I thought, as I said last week, maybe Davy Russell will put him to sleep and he'll creep into the race. He just crept backwards, and also Colgrave was pulled up as well, so very disappointing overall. Clement and Forgan looked to come in. I thought he was going to get up and win the champion hurdle, the Scottish champion hurdle, but it wasn't to be. So overall, not great. Kimberella did win for us last week at Thirsk though. That was a positive, and he's back in action again tomorrow. We'll speak about that race in a moment. Right, well, let's look at tomorrow's action for you. Let's start off at Sandown, where it is, of course, the finale to the National Hunt season. Altuor's out there, so I'm going to just focus on one race at Sandown tomorrow in terms of betting wise, where we can get our teeth into. Altuor, as I say, is short price in the 3 o'clock, and in the 225 Top Notch is back. There's been a lot of rain, I think, at Sandown today, so it's going to be interesting to see how soft it will be tomorrow. So it might be quite testing. So it'll be interesting to see, because it was good ground going into it today, but there was a lot of rain during their flat meeting today. And it'll be interesting to see how the National Hunt course will ride tomorrow. But let's look at the traditional, what used to be called the Whitbread, and it's changed names down the years, but now it's the Bet365 Gold Cup Handicap Chase. It's at 335. Now, two horses that I'm going to pick out. Now, the Young Master was, of course, Sam Wheely-Cohen was put out the back, shipped off the horse pretty early last week. But he's back today. I was tracking back through form to find out about soft ground for the Young Master, and he has done pretty well in that. A few years ago he won quite a few races on testing ground, so if it is to be that tomorrow, then it's not a major thing, I would say, for the Young Master. I just think this horse, obviously you have to question the fact that jumping is going to be a question mark, but obviously he's not really been fully tested. Last Saturday the horse did run around after unshipping Sam Wheely-Cohen, but I don't think that's a major thing. I think the horse still is off a good mark at the moment, so really you've got to consider it. So the Young Master comes into my consideration. The other horse is Big Bad John. This is a horse that's, again, doesn't mind softish ground. Jamie Bargari will be on board for Nigel Twiston-Davis. This horse won at Kempton back in February on soft ground, and last time out it raced at Aintree and unseated the rider. So we're going with two tips of unseated the riders last time out, but I think when you look back at that performance at Kempton, you have to bring him into consideration in this race. So if you can forgive the past two performances of the Young Master and Big Bad John, then they certainly have got a chance in that race there, the Bet365 Gold Cup. So each way punts on both of them, Big Bad John and the Young Master. Hopefully they'll cross the winning line with jockeys on their backs this time rather than with them lying there decked on the ground. So it's, in those respects, you sometimes look at the horse hasn't necessarily fallen, it's obviously maybe clapped a fence and the jockeys just couldn't hold on. But you know, in a big field handicap like this, and especially Sandown, when you come to the railway fences, jumping is, you know, it is a question mark that you have. If there is any issues with their jumping, it will be found out at Sandown, that's for sure. So fingers crossed they'll be okay. Right, moving away from the jumps action, let's move to Haydock. They've got a flat meeting there, decent enough fare. Few handicaps in there. One of them that we're going to look at is the 205. Picked out two horses here, this 7 furlong handicap. One is Get Knotted for Michael Dodds and Paul Mulrennan. That a very profitable partnership at times, it has to be said. Get Knotted is what a regular in big field handicaps we've seen down the years, whether it's over 6 or 7 furlongs. And last time we seen him was back in November at Donny, when he finished 8th of 19 in a 7 furlong handicap on good to soft ground. The going at Haydock at the moment, it's in the soft side, and that shouldn't bother getting knotted. Has put in some good performances. You know, as I say, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, it always seems to be there. And currently it's trading at around about 14 to 1 getting knotted. So um, I think it is an each way shout there. Another one that I'm going to throw in there is a combination that seems to do really well, but a jockey who really does superbly well at Haydock is Richard Kingscote, and him partnering up with Tom Daskell with Calder Prince here. It's round about 8 to 1 at the moment, and that won last time out on it over 6 furlongs at Wolverhampton a few weeks ago. So it's got to come into the reckoning here. Raced at Haydock back in September in a similar type of race over a mile though, and finished 6 of 13. So has been a regular at Haydock down the past season, and put in some decent performances there. And I think, you know, obviously it's been sharpened up with that run at Wolverhampton and should come into this with a good chance. So both Calder Prince and Get Knotted in the 205 have caught my eye there. In the 245, oh well, we'll go to that one in a minute. There was a one that I picked out at the back here, and that was the 330 at no, that's the one at Ripon. Excuse me, I've lost some of my paperwork here. I did pick out another race at Haydock, but I obviously have not printed it off, which is a bit of a shame. So I will highlight that one on Twitter tomorrow, because I thought I had printed it off, but I've not, obviously. So in saying that, let's switch our attention then over to Leicester. We'll go to Ripon in a minute, but Leicester have a listed race, the King Richard III Stakes, another 7 furlong contest. Now Kimberella was the horse that won last week at Thirsk in a conditions race, so obviously seems to be in fine fettle for Richard Fahey, who's again in good form at this early part of the season. So Richard's quickly got the horse back out. Paul Hannigan's still on board after that success at Thirsk last week. Had been campaigned all winter over the ill weather with varying success, so seems to be in good form. It's a listed race, so unlike during the winter it was going up and down the handicap there, but he has raced in listed company before he's won at this level. So as I say, soft ground won't be an issue. That's what he faced last week at Thirsk. So Kimberella is one there. Now there's Emos will definitely probably be favourite here for Adzini, having won last time out at at Leicester last season. Depends how fresh it is. The other one that caught my eye was Via Via, but I think the ground may be a problem for Via Via. Did race pretty well I have to say, in Lincoln on heavy ground, finishing 6 of 20. Seemed to come there nice and cruising, if I remember correctly, and was, you know, looked like it could get into the reckoning, into the one that get placed at least, but just faded in the last half furlong. So I'm wondering if softish ground over 7 furlongs is really going to suit Via Via. Maybe if it was a longer test, it might have got into that. But maybe they're thinking stamina never showed enough for it to get home over a mile in testing ground, so they may be thinking about 7 furlongs, a furlong race. I don't know, but if I was to put my money anywhere, it would be on Kimberella again in that one. Over to Ripon for their card there, meeting there. Let's take a look first of all at the 255 race there. So we have, and this is a 6 furlong sprint. I always love a wee a good sprint race here. Now there's a few. Now Tarentum Star is probably going to be one that's going to be well fancied here for Kevin Ryan. He's been a good horse down the years, Tenentum Star. Finished 4th at Donny last time out, won at York and Ripon last season, so it certainly went up the handicap because of that. The other one is Mobster, that caught my eye for Mick Channon. That one recently at Windsor on heavy ground under Sylvester de Souza. Franny Norton takes a ride at this time round, and obviously seems to be going in the right direction, because prior to that had finished 4th at Donny in their opening meeting of the season. So Mick Channon obviously feels the horse has got a good bit of early season form behind it, and that's why he's putting it out here in this race at Ripon. So obviously that has to be in with a chance. And another one further down the handicap for Richard Fahey is Gin in the Inn. Seemed to start last season really well, if I remember correctly, and was banging in some wins and was unlucky a couple of them. I remember I backed it at Pontefract and he just got there too late. But Gin in the Inn, Kieran O'Neill takes a ride in this one, and it should be a decent enough price. Again, the ground, if it's softish at Ripon, he'll appreciate that, and if he can recoup that early season form from last year, because it kind of tapered off at the back end of last season, then he certainly has a chance in that one. So that's the 255 at Ripon. On to the 330. We have a 2 mile handicap here. This 2 mile handicap, and I'm going to just pick out one horse for you here, and it's Keith Dalglish's horse, Mersal, who has been campaigned of late over hurdles, so that's freshened him up. A reasonable enough time of it over hurdles. Last win over hurdles came at Kelso at the beginning of the year, and has been back and forth over that. Did run in the flat and at the Easter meeting at Musselburgh, and finished 6 of 13 in a mile 6 furlong handicap. Maybe the Musselburgh track might just a bit too sharp for Mersal, I would say. Ripon's long galloping straight should come more to his advantage, I think, and I think Mersal, freshened up from a campaign over hurdles, should come into this race in good fine form and get a win there, hopefully for Keith Dalglish there. As I say, I don't know what I've done with my paperwork for the Haydock race. I had printed it off and was ready to give you a tip for it. I'm sure I did with Haydock, one of them. I'm absolutely positive. It's absolutely bugging me now what I did with it, but I'll have a look, and I'm trying to remember off the top of my head what horse I was going to pick out for you, but it's completely escaped me. But anyway, I'll tweet it tomorrow if you're interested. But that's the thoughts there on some of the races tomorrow. Next week we look forward to the first classics of the season. It will be the 1,000 guineas on the Sunday, but before that we'll look at the 2,000 guineas. At the moment, 2,000 guineas wise, the Mark Johnson horse has always caught my eye, and I think it's fantastically well bred, of course. It's a Franco, out of Franco, attraction in there as well, so it really looks good. I just have this nagging doubt, and I don't know why, when I think of Mark Johnson horses that impress as a 2-year-old, that have they of late come on and really impressed as a 3-year-old. Well, obviously he's not had a trial race so far. I did a bit of work there. That it seems to be going well at home, that the vibes are. So it's going to be an interesting one, but I would love to see Mark Johnson get a classic win again. I think he really seems, Ellercam is a sensational horse, and he's very bullish about it, let's put it that way, so it has a real chance. Now in the 1,000 guineas, I was looking at the trials again over the past week, and not necessarily for the 1,000 guineas itself. Irene, how you would, it was the Dean Ivory horse that finished, I think it was 3rd in the Nelgwyn. Now I don't think it handles Newmarket. I think that was pretty evident when they came down into the dip. She just really struggled to get her balance. but she really showed a lot of pace, really did, and it caught my eye. Now, she's entered into the 1,000 guineas, but she's also entered into a 6 furlong Group 3 race on Wednesday, I think it is, the 2nd of May, anyway, at Ascot. And I think she'll enjoy a flatter surface, which she would get at Ascot. So it'll be interesting if she takes up that appointment there. She's, as I say, she's in the race at the moment. Obviously, she'll not race in both, so we'll find out over the next couple of days. The final decks will obviously be Monday for that. I'm sure the 2nd of May is the Wednesday, but anyway, she's in that race on the 2nd of May at Ascot, that Group 3 race, Irene. And I think she would stand a hell of a chance if she takes up that appointment rather than going for the 1,000 guineas, where I just don't think she handles Newmarket. At this early stage of her career, maybe down the line she may, but if she could go and win a nice Group 3 at the moment, then that would probably satisfy Dean Ivory at this stage. So that's one to look out for, keep an eye on that going ahead. In terms of Scottish racing this week, now Ayr would have had their 2 meetings. I think they had Monday, and I think they had a Tuesday evening meeting planned. That's now been changed. It was originally going to be a jumps meeting on the Monday, but that obviously interfered with a break that the jockeys were all due after Sandown this Saturday, which I can understand their grievance with that. So that date's been now moved out to the 7th of May. It'll be a jumps meeting finale at Ayr next Monday. This week though, we've got Musselburgh. Musselburgh have evening action on Thursday, and also a day meeting on Friday. So two meetings back to back there for Musselburgh on the flat. Get along if you can. Another great course. I've spoken about Musselburgh very much a lot in the blog for various reasons. And then Hamilton comes into the fore next Sunday. They've got the big family day next Sunday, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the weather will be good for them. It's one of their big meetings, and they've got a good conditions race that day as well, and it's on ITV, so they really want to make sure that the sun's shining. It shows the course off to great. There was a nice picture actually put up by Hamilton Racecourse on Twitter. I think it was it today. The track looks in magnificent condition, and let's hope that the weather stays fair and dry for them, so they can get a good crowd in next Sunday, and the same for Musselburgh this week. Anyway, so I'll be back next Friday, as I say, for the preview for the Guineas, the 2,000 and 1,000, and all the other decent, well, not decent, but very good racing on offer. And also I'll try and get some tips for you for Hamilton on the Sunday if you're going along. But enjoy your racing. If you're off to Musselburgh next week, have a good one, and a good betting tomorrow. CopaLoad of Racing.